Buy things at here websites.com. Buy things at here websites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour or so. So, got a couple people joining us live this evening right off the bat. We'll flip up to El Pato because we're not doing it on Gun Stream on GunTube.org tonight, and Gunstreamer.com doesn't have it yet. Have a streaming feature yet. We've got Erstwhile out there. Welcome. Been chatting for a bit. Started this show up, I think, a half an hour early tonight, and then Barbecue just showed up here. So I threw a link out there if anybody wants to join in. Otherwise, I had a couple of ways to take the show tonight. I think we're gonna screen share, go to Amazon, buy some stuff because it's always fun to buy things. We're all capitalists here. So question is, where are we gonna go buy? I had a couple of ideas. You can see I'm looking at my cart here. Got some needles in here. I need to buy needles. I went to the Wall store the other day, and that's where I normally get my needles. And they've been low on needles all year, really. So I'm debating if I should buy these Chinese needles or not. Chinese needles, as you can imagine, are in some different sizes. So anyway, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I think for now I will delete it from the cart and we'll just dig into Amazon here. So I was thinking about buying some tools and stuff, but I don't know. Then I was thinking about buying stuff for some sort of computer setup. So I guess let's try that to start off with. Everything's always good with a good laptop. Gives you a good place to start from. So let's see. We would want to have, brand don't really matter too much. There's brands I like better than others. I like Dell, I like Compaq. I've never had an Apple. Well, I haven't had Apples in a long time, so I'm not a Apple craziness, but I'm not against them either. For RAMs, we're going to want to have at least 16. So I'm going to say 16. And the RAM is the ability of the computer. So we want to give it as much ability as possible. Processor, graphics processor, I was kind of sharp on this for a minute. You've either got your high quality still image for photographs and things like that, or you've got your high quality while rendering video. So streaming for games and stuff like that, different types of video cards. So just like, you're going to get a still camera or you're going to get a video camera, depending on what kind of images you want to take, you're going to view those images on different things. So these video cards kind of depend on what you're going to be using the computer for. So there's Barbecue jumping in. I threw the link out here, so feel free to jump in if you'd like to as well. I didn't throw it on at Patreon today only because I had a show earlier on Patreon. So with the video card, I don't really care which one. I'm guessing with 16 gigs of RAM, it'll be a decent video card, but we'll make that more of a given by going with an i7 processor. And even though that's kind of overkill, that by being an i7 processor, that's sort of the brain of the computer. By going with, I don't think it's the best one out there. It's at the higher end though. That'll eliminate a lot of the lower end pieces because they're not going to bother putting a low-end piece on a high-end brain. So with those couple of things, just given it, telling it we want 16 gigs of RAM and we want it to be an i7 processor, that'll be enough for us to just do a quick compare here. So I don't like to look by featured because that's them trying to sell us stuff. Let's go to low price versus high. Actually, let's go to customer review. That's probably a good one. So Levino, I don't have anything against them. I've never even heard of a Sager. I don't know what a Razer Blade is. HP, I've heard of them at least. Another HP. I'm going to scroll down until I find a Dell. There's some kind of Microsoft. MSI is a gaming machine, I think. There's an Apple. It's interesting to see an Apple anywhere near this price range. And I don't know what a Levino is. I know I've heard of them a lot. If I was keeping up more, I'd know what the lineage is there. But there's HPs in this range. The sponsored ones are up at the $1,300 level. Once we get into the computers, though, we're already up to $2,000. I don't know where we're at. Oh, we're going by review, so it's not going to care about price so much. I don't like any of these, though. These seem to be a lot of gaming machines. I guess an i7 makes it a gaming machine. So with that, that's way too much effort. We're just going to go back to high to low. Let's see what the most expensive machine in this category is. $4,000. That's insane. So we're going to drive down here and we'll go. It's got 237 pages. Let's go to the third page. Now we're down to $1,000, $3,000 computer. Crazy. Just going to scroll down to the bottom and try to go to like the 6th page. I guess we can't. So if you can't just go to the 6th page, we went to the 4th page. And what did it tell us up here? Amazon Electronics, feature 5, browse pin, feature 4, browse pin, page equals 4. So let's go to page equals 13. Let's see what happens. Now let's go to page equal 13. Yeah, I did go to page equal 13. That takes us down to $2,500 laptop. So we'll go to page 23. And that takes us to $22,000 laptops. Holy shit, there's a lot of laptops up there. It's taking way too long. We're just going to we're going to click Dell in here, make sure it gives us a Dell. $3,000 Dell. Oh shit, here's a rugged Dell. So here's a rugged i7, 16 gigabyte of RAMs, Wi-Fi, Bluetooths, 10 Pros in it. So I'm going to go ahead and say the only thing better you could even do is to put 32 gigabits of RAM and a terabit of hard drive for $200. Yes, please. That's not even that much of a difference in price. You're talking a $3,000 machine. So we just bought a $3,000 machine. I think that might work in the van. So I'm buying that one. We'll add that to list. And let's see. We'll create a list. And what are we going to call this list? We'll put this in a wish list so that Sugar Mamas can buy it for me. And we'll make it public. We'll make it the Daily Show Studio. So this will be the studio for the Daily Gun Show. So if you want to see a good Daily Gun Show, tell your Sugar Mamas, go hang out over here and buy stuff off of this wish list. And what we'll do is we'll call it the studio. Oh shit, what just happened? Add to list, create a list. Oh, I see. You can't click a fucking control key when you're in there, I guess. So, oh, you can't do anything. Well, create a list, paste, public. The name will be the Daily Gun Show. There we go. The wish list. All right. And that's what it'll be called. It'll be public. And now it's created. So there, we've created that list over here. And then we'll continue shopping. So let's see. So we bought this laptop that is decent. It's okay for $3,000 and it's ruggedized. What else do we need? Some sort of a microphone. That's what I've actually been looking for. Micro. People out here. So we got Gizzards out here now, and barbecues in here. So there's a link if you want to jump in. I know I've heard of them. Used to be IBM back in the day. Oh, okay. So one of the versions of them deciding to make a PC again or not. So I ended up buying this, something similar to this thing. That is a microphone with a USB on the end, and that means that there's an amplifier in it, and that's a waste of time. I would never recommend that to anybody again. So I need to get a microphone that's a regular microphone like this, which isn't exactly expensive. It's just that it actually plugs into an actual device so that the microphone does what it's supposed to do, be a microphone, and the device does what it's supposed to do, amplify. So, or at least deal with the signal. So, yeah, I got to figure out. I don't really want to spend a fortune. I already spent a fortune buying. I probably bought this one. This looks a lot like it.
I literally just ordered a microphone last night. Matt had shared the microphone that he got a while back, and I finally remembered to go look it up, and it's like $30.
Mm-hmm. Was it the kind with a plug like this, or is it a USB?
It's like your standard plug for the microphone, but then it actually goes into, I think it's a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
But he said you could also go get the regular mic cord if you're gonna be plugging it into like a mixer or anything. But when he said that thing was only like $30, I was like, his stuff always sounds great. I'm gonna give that a go.
Yeah, I just don't want to pay $30, but yeah, that's what I need to get also. There was one here that looked shitty for $20. We've been part around all day on every one of these decisions, so let's just go with this one for $20. A Hotech Premium dynamic handheld. Problem is, it's a handheld instead of the kind that jams up into the thing. So how do you get that kind? How do you tell it to be that kind? What is that kind called?
I'd say the one that I looked up that Matt has it. I think it actually comes with the stand and everything. If you look up, I think it's Neewer, Neewer professional microphone. You should find it. Like I said, it's like $30 and it comes ready to go. Like I said, I don't know if it's got the mic boom that you can move up out of the way and stuff, but it's actually got some sort of mic stand and whatnot.
Well, that's the thing. I already bought all that, so I just need to get now. But
Gotcha.
normally you would get all that because it's like barely any additional cost to get the stand. So anyway, I just don't need to buy the stand. I'll buy it because it doesn't make a big difference. Here's one for $30. This is probably the one you're talking about, a Neewer 800.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. It's gold.
Yeah.
I don't need gold. Matt's worries about the bling, got his whole audience that he has to worry about, keeping them happy. But
well, the best part is once you put the wind absorber, whatever the heck this little foam thing is on there, you won't see the gold anyways.
That's true. So he spent all that money for nothing, sucker. But no, probably the cheapest one. I can't find any other cheaper one except for this one. It's $29, same fucking price. So yeah, I'm gonna go with this one then. Here's the next trick. Half the shit on Amazon you can't buy. No, you can buy it. So we'll add this in stock. No, in stock June 1st. So it's kind of available. Probably going to be available. Let's see where we're putting this. We're putting this in the Daily Gun Show studio. So now it's another item in the Daily Gun Show studio. So the next thing we need is the amp for it. And that's where I've been looking at them. I don't want to buy just the boring old amp, Phantom Power Supply type of amp. Instead, I want to buy a mixer thingy. So here's some kind of one for $100 to get us started. It's got that microphone in, some kind of Instagram in, and then headphones, and then USB on the back. So it goes out to USB, I'm guessing, out to the computer. So that's the next question. Do you bring these things into your headphones only, or do you bring them into USB to to the computer. So for $100, this thing brings it in and gets you adjust something, line, Instagram, and output. It really doesn't do anything. There's other ones that are mixer stuff, something like one of these deals, I guess. Oh yeah, this was what I need, $885 multi-channel mixer. I don't know why this one's expensive, probably because it's around the road or something. So I don't know how I got into here anyway. So this is microphones, accessories. And then you get your phantom power supplies and your preamps. Preamps, all right. So that you can get some kind of mixer. Condenser microphone mixer. What I'm looking for. And these get expensive pretty quick. Here's $100, $150. Now we're talking. USB sound card for PC recording, 3.5, 18-volt power. Let's take a look at this. So this takes your microphone in and powers the microphone, I'm guessing, right? And then goes out with the left and right RCAs. Does some kind of wiggling with knobs. For, oh, I see, there's a 2-channel, 3-channel, and a 5-channel. So there's your one microphone, and then your line in, and then your second channel, I guess. And then this has line in, tape in, mic in. I don't know what the other 2 ins are. But anyway, a lot of this stuff, you start getting into stuff that has to do with just moving sound around to an amplifier at some kind of a stage or something, right? Like a music thing or an auditorium or something, and not shoving it into a computer. So I don't know what the thing is called to shove the microphone into a computer, like a USB sound card.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said before, I'm pretty technology illiterate.
USB sound mixer. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. So it's something that takes some audio sources, sticks them around, and then shoves them out into MP3 computer input. No, that's taking an MP3 and plugging it into this thing. So yeah, I guess I don't know what the theater use, home entertainment, studio use. Let's see what this thing's all about. It's got a lot of knobs. It's $50. It's probably pretty good. So you can get a 40-watt one, a 120-watt one, USB and SD card. So that's USB, that's USB and SD card. So this is just an amplifier for, well, they're showing it with a computer here. Showing a little kid using it, so I guess little kids can use it. Quarter-inch mic input jack, 1/4-inch headphone output. And you got adjustments. So you can plug in USB and cards, okay, and then read them, I guess. And then, is it going to show you the back? It barely shows you the back. Has RCA and some kind of PC USB cable back there. It's got speaker cables. It's got its own power. You can plug a headphone into it. And I don't know what that means. Does that mean you can, no, that's saying you can connect your CD player through auxiliary ports. They want you to plug your microphone in through that jack. I don't know why you plug speakers into it. makes it sound like it's the wrong kind of device if you're plugging speakers into this thing. Oh, and then this guy has his mic plugged in right to the front there. There's Bob out there. Night strikes in here.
Hello.
What do you call the thing that you plug a powered microphone into? Is it an external sound card?
It's the microphone that me and Matt use, and I think Yankee also uses one as well. It's called a condenser mic, and you use XL. It's got the type of plug is called XLR.
Yeah. What do you plug that into, though? Do you plug it into an external sound card? Do you plug it into an amplifier? What's the name of the device?
What you plug the XLR wire into from the microphone is into a mixer, and then if the mixer doesn't have USB and goes straight to the computer, then you would plug that mixer into an external sound card, and then that sound card would be connected to your computer via USB. And that's the type of system Matt had originally. I bought the same stuff he did about just like half a month after he bought his, and then he changed it and got a new mixer and got rid of the external sound card. And he's using some Yamaha mixer, but the problem is it's like $250, and I'm not paying that for a new mixer.
And the mixer goes straight to the computer instead of going from the.
Instead of going to the external sound card, yeah.
Okay, so then what do you know? Is there a name for that device that he's got that's made by Yamaha?
I don't remember which one it is. I might have it bookmarked. Let me check my bookmarks, see if I've got it.
Because it's not an external sound card then, obviously. So it's some sort of an enhanced USB mixer. But see, when I put in USB sound mixer, I'm just finding sound cards. But that's the trick, is you buy a mic that plugs into an amp so that it can be used on a stage or an auditorium or something or in a band? Or do you buy a mic that goes into a computer? If you buy the kind that goes into a computer, the microphone attempts to turn it to digital and shove it into the computer. And in my case, it trickles in like a 9mm capacity into the computer, so it can barely be picked up and it's shitty. So you can't amplify digital. I mean, you can, I guess you technically can, but you're just going to make the bits and bytes louder. You're not going to adjust their actual volume.
I found it here. Hold on.
Regular microphone, you can literally increase the waves or whatever, increase its amplitude and make it louder. So that's the trick, is what kind of mic you want to. Are you sending me a link? Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a link in the side chat.
So anyway, so then
that's the one Matt uses.
Where I'm going to buy a second one, do I buy I got to figure out what to call that device, because I'm basically going to try to buy a cheaper version, whatever he buys.
Right, and then what he's using is called a mixer, and he just switched to this and got rid of the external sound card, because this will, once you put this into your computer via USB, you don't need an external sound card because it already does it.
Yeah, and that's what I was deciding, is trying to figure out what to call this. So they're calling it a powered mixer. Now
it's a mixer, and the reason why they call it power is because for some of the older analog condenser microphones and microphones that you see, at events or on TV, those microphones use phantom power. That's why they call them powered mixers, because they provide phantom power to the microphone. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. So, but they're under the category powered mixer under Amazon. Right. So, yeah, if you don't have the $200 with all your fancy YouTube money coming in and your fancy power chats or whatever they're called,
who's got that?
Never Enough Ammo. He makes them capitalist super chats. It'll be like 15 seconds. He's getting another one of them. So he can do money or whatever he feels like. He can buy one of these $200 mixers. But this is pretty much what I'm looking at, trying to get a $30 version of this. So instead of going out to, this only goes out. They're calling it a mixing console. But this looks like it only goes out to a computer. Like it doesn't. You can monitor it out the front,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have speakers or anything, or even
It
RCA.
It only goes out to computers. So there you go.
So here's a $32 version of it. Here's an $83 version. This looks like it's not trying to impress everybody, like we're not trying to impress everybody over there, but loop out, loop in. Oh, this is a loop mixer. This is different. This is for bringing a bunch of shit in on a stage to the same amp or something. It won't work.
Right.
Bluetooth compatible. Here's something for $66. It's made out of red though. It's probably going to be shitty. So what do we got? Half the time they don't show you what the back looks like. That's the problem. And look at this thing. So either this guy's tiny and he's got a little tiny record player next to him there, because if you look at this thing in real life, you know, that's the size of the plug. This thing's only about the size of 5 plugs. But according to this, it takes up half of this guy's counter. I don't get that picture. They use that same picture all over the place now. So this is the kind that's worth the shit, because all you can do is plug a USB into it to like listen to the songs or something. And like this, they're Bluetoothing songs into it. Who cares? I don't need to do any of that. So this won't even show you how it connects to the computer. So there you go. But then you can jump down here. Here's a $100 version of maybe what Matt's using.
Yeah. I mean, if you could afford a $100 version, that would be better than nothing.
Well, we got to see if it's even the same thing. So
You got to realize you're going to have to put some investment into it. Not a lot, but some.
Well, and what you do is you just put it on Matt's credit card, and then he doesn't even
Right.
Right.
Right. You know, and if you need that, you just got to log into his Walmart account. I'm sorry, I had to make the joke. It's felt appropriate.
Wait, what do we got going on here? So this goes out to a power or a computer. Oh, it's just being powered off a computer. That's deceptive. So this thing, I don't know what it's doing. It's only going, where does it even go out to? This is trying to show me. It can go out to an amplifier. It's hooking up to a computer, but it's not saying that it's going out to a computer necessarily. I'd like to think this is what Matt's got. So the next thing to do would be look at the ratings, I guess, and then see if people are saying that it does what they wanted to do or it doesn't. What's all this made in the USA business?
Yeah. I wasn't aware this stuff was made in the United States anymore.
Look at that. Designed, engineered. Oh, designed and engineered.
Yeah, bull.
Kind of halfway made here. So anyway, you can go down here and try to figure out which one of these things is what I need to get. The USB is an input function. You can input US to the blah, blah, blah. With the output function, connect to the PC. Oh, wait, hold on. You can input your UDisc MP3 audio in the mixer. With output function of the USB jack, he can be used to connect to a PC to process mixed recording files. All right, so when these things connect to the PC, what's the deal? Do they get interpreted as a microphone? Do they get interpreted as a USB device? Are they a sound card? What's the deal? How does the computer deal with these things?
It depends on the manufacturer, and it also depends on the drivers for it. I know the Yamaha one that Matt has, it does external microphone. So it does external microphone and headset, so he just hooks into it, and it does its job. All these other knockoffs, I have no idea, and I cannot validate anything else other than the one I posted.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what does the computer see it as? Is it a USB device? Is it a sound card? Is it just another microphone?
Well, It depends on whether it sees whether the drivers allow to see it as an external microphone, an external uh, headset adapter, or sound card. It depends on the device. I can't tell you because I don't know the specifications of drivers of every device. It depends. It really does, unfortunately. So.
It's tough to say. This looks like a $39 version of it. It's frustrating because when they show the picture on the back, you can see that it's USB, whatever that is, micro USB or whatever it is, USB 2. And then, what does it actually say there? Click on this and then get it to go in? Not really. That little symbol doesn't. What's the symbols? Does the symbol mean connectivity versus charging?
It means you can charge it. That connectivity symbol means you can charge it. Scroll down to it real quick.
You can't. There's nothing to scroll in on.
Well, it's pointing to a external power adapter. It's pointing to a computer, or it's pointing to an actual.
I know what the picture. I'm saying this little symbol meaning it's a data port.
It's a micro USB port, and it's saying you can connect it to get power from your computer, the outlet you connect it to, or
we already know that it says that. I'm not talking about this portion of the picture that I'm not looking at. So what I'm looking at is this portion of the fucking picture, which is the device itself, and there's that logo imprinted on it. And I'm wondering, because it cares about the port, we know that the port can be charged.
The logo means nothing.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. So you can't really tell by looking at it either. But that's the thing. It kind of says in cryptic English in the description that it can be used on your computer, blah, 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 as a sound input. And that would be awesome. But it's kind of skeptical. Those phantom power things want to plug in to like actual 12 volts or something. They don't want 5 volts coming through USB. They need more than that. So if this thing only powers through a little 5-volt USB plug-in, then it can't be effective. It can't run a condenser microphone and act as a sound card. It's just too much power for that, especially if it's coming out of a computer to power all that. So I would like this thing more if it came with an external power cord, or even had a place on the back to plug an external power cord. It doesn't even have that.
Which one are you looking at?
The $39 one over here that just came up as like a comparable to that one at Laptop. I don't know if I plug it in here, if it'll work. It's probably too long on the side. No, it went in there. That's weird. It shoved it in under 2, so it won't work. I don't know if it'll work in here.
Well, yeah, I can copy and paste that. I'm capable of copying and pasting.
Yeah, I mean, because it edits it in the stupid Gato.
Yeah. I just posted another one just exactly like that, but it's like $46. So.
Yeah, this one's similar. So you can use USB. Got the USB in the front. You can plug in like a song or something. Not have to worry about a computer. It looks like you can use a phone for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got same kind of, this is the same, basically that same kind of image showing you can, but here, this is the big difference, is that it shows actual data going back and forth. And then the big question is power. So this is it's basically the same thing, same situation. If you're plugging it in this way to get the computer to work with it, then this is powered off of that 5 volts. I don't know if it can run a microphone like that. So is there a picture of the back of this thing? Ideally, if there's like a way to plug a power supply into it and let it have its own power, that would be great.
Well, I believe it's if you hook it directly into the wall via the USB adapter, it'll be supplying 5 volts at 5 volts at
2 amps or something. But then
2 or 3 amps or something like that.
yeah, you're getting good consistent power, but then you're taking up the USB port that you can't get to the computer then. It only has the one USB port. Yeah, here's the back. Look at how cryptic they are. They're barely. Wait, here is this the back?
Yeah, how do you?
Record by computer. Look at these pictures. You can't even open these. They're tiny little pictures. So
Yeah, I don't see how you can connect to your computer if you're doing power. That's the problem. I see what you're talking about now.
USB, US bus powered, or mobile battery. So it can be operated by a mobile battery power bank. So I'm assuming there's batteries in it. That's maybe why it's a little bit bigger than the other one.
No, they mean those like those Anchor power banks you can bring along with you. You can hook it directly into it.
Oh yeah, so it's still using the port.
Yeah.
You can do that one. Let's see. So playback, either record USB or computer or to Bluetooth, and without obstacle. Oh, nice. Oh no, 4 meters if there's no obstacle. You can go MP3 player. Oh, amazing. And then you can just affect and delay repeat. So then you got knobs. You got a
Knobs are very important.
you got buttons with your knobs, I guess, and a little line display. You got those plus 48 volts Phantom. That's definitely Phantom if it can just twirl 48 volts out of a 5-volt thing. So that is pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's go back out. So I'm going to compare it with these other mixers. Well, it's the best comparison ever. So price and description. Amazing. Thanks for that awesome comparison, Amazon. You really made my purchase decision easy. So, but I think I could probably get one for cheaper than his fancy $200 one. Price to no object. Keep throwing super chats at me, and I need your money.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. It's just, mine's still working, so I'm just going to continue using it until the external mic USB sound card dies, and then I'll have to get a new mixer. Until then, I'm going to continue using what I got.
No, I don't have the luxury of having what I got. So let's see. We got Phanex mixing console with 4 channels. This thing definitely has its own power. Well, I guess it plugs into the back somehow. But the weirdest power supply I've ever seen. Look at that weird.
While the mixer is important, have you figured out what kind of microphone you're going to get?
Yeah, I got that $20 one coming because I just don't care. It just doesn't. I'm not trying to go for quality. I just want to get something that actually works. The USB one literally doesn't work. I'm back on the microphone that's just off of the laptop. So it was a complete waste of money. I can't even, if I plug it in, I have to restart the computer and fiddle with it for longer than it's worth to just fucking buy another $20 microphone. And the thing is, I'm going to be doing some other stuff that I now need the mixing. So that's why I'm not just buying a better USB mic, or I'm not just buying a plain old. You can just buy the $20 thing you plug a Phantom mic into, and then it plugs in. It's a little sound card, basically. It plugs into the computer. I'm not just looking for straight in because I need maybe not 5 channels, but I could probably use 2 or 3 channels. I want to have the ability to play something like when I do this stuff over here right now. I'm just doing this in the air.
Yeah, I just linked, but I'm gonna buy that one.
Guys and gals have gone buy things at here websites.com.
I'm just holding the phone in the air and hitting the button. If I had a channel, I can basically plug a thing in and it'll just sound better. But also I can do stuff and adjust it so it can fade in, it can be the right level, and it's just not, overwhelming or whatever. So anyway, I'm looking to get a couple of channels, and that's why I figure if I'm going to get a mic, and I don't care, I just need to get a mic that's Ghost Power, what it's called, Phantom powered.
Phantom power, yeah.
I should just get a ghost mic. I should just 3D print a ghost mic since that's still illegal. And then
No, I'm pretty sure the Democrats are trying to ban that too.
but I could ghost power it. But anyway, once I get a powered mic, I could just figure I'm going to get something maybe. Well, if I can get a $30 one to work, I'm really looking hard at those. But anyway, that's what I was looking at, is something in the 30-ish range to plug in a mic and a couple other devices, and then mix a little bit. I don't really care, because either that or plug it anyway. As long as it gets into the computer, either shove it straight into this video software or into some kind of audio podcast software, whatever it happens to be. But once I need to get into the computer in a quality that I can use, because that's the problem, is the $50 mic I'm using, $60 mic. I forgot what I paid for it. Too much though. Whatever that USB mic, it just doesn't come in a usable level. It comes in faint.
I linked the one that I'm ordering. I have the other one, the 700. But I linked the one in the side chat of the one I'm going to get, because I'm going to order this probably later this week, because I need a better microphone, because I think this one's dying. So.
All right. Well, I'm just going to act like I'm going to. I'm not going to add any of these to the thing right now. So we'll just go on to the next thing. So now we bought the computer and a microphone, and we still haven't bought the amp, but eventually we'll buy that amp. So next would be some external hard drives. And I think what I'm ending up with is external hard drives, and then most storage in cloud already. So I'm pretty much moving everything to cloud for my storage, or my backup, I guess I should say. And then I have some additional storage that I use a lot in the cloud, or at least I'm incorporating that more. And then use my hard drive is just off computer workspace, use not trying to store stuff on it. So with that in mind, I'm probably just going to go with probably 2 terabyte is plenty. And then what do they call that? STD, where do you put that?
A external case.
Right, but I mean, I want it to be a, not a, what am I trying to say? I want it to be a solid state.
Oh, solid state. SSD.
Yeah, but it just wasn't showing up in the things. It's only, here we go, solid state. So basically it's saying that I want it to be a giant piece of RAM instead of a record player.
Right.
And then that'll increase the price, because a solid state at 2 terabytes is going to be pretty expensive. So we'll go by Fuck Featured. We'll go to customer review, and I want it to be fairly small. So I'll probably go with that one, unless I can find a cheaper one. What's all this about? Oh, this one's got some kind of buttons on it.
Question: what company did you go with for, or are you looking at going with for cloud storage?
I have them on 2 right now, because I already had one and I wanted to go to this other one. So I went with I got one that's like $10 a month that I've been on, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And then this other one was $50 a year, which is just cheaper. So I bought the $50 a year. I put some stuff on it, and now that I've got 2, I'm like, well, I don't really mind having 2. And it's not, it's not overflowing money, but data is sort of everything I do. So I'm like, maybe I'll keep 2 for a little while. So right now I'm deciding if I want to keep both. They're not, it's not, it will be eventually the same data. But let me say, on one of them, I'm storing it like, here's March, here's April, here's May, here's June, right? That's stored chronologically sort of in one. And the other one, it's like, here's this gun shop, here's this revolver, here's this trip. And so there might be the same picture of a revolver in a holster in 4 folders on this drive, because I have it in the holster folder, and I have it in the revolver holster, and I have it in the I visited this gun shop holster. Because now when I want to go look for it, I don't have to remember what the fuck year and month did I take a picture of that. I can just go say, I want to look at all my revolver pictures. And neither one is the perfect way to do it, and they're both kind of necessary. So I don't know. I'm kind of debating both the services and the system of organization with the 2. And I'm not desperate mean, the one was $50 for a year, and I think it was like $60 for the year, and I got it for $50, or it was $50 for the year, and I got it for 40. Either way, it was like $10 cheaper to buy it for your first year. So I was like, well, I'll just keep the $10 a month one until I make my decision up, and then I'll either be poor and have to go with one or the other, or I'll be rich and have both. What are you going with?
I don't know. I've considered going with a couple of them. I've looked at
putting them on my own servers, just like you. I got servers that I pay good money for, but that's all your eggs in one basket again. I mean, I do have all my stuff.
Again, yeah.
Technically, everything that's on the servers, or I mean, everything that I've got in storage, I guess, is already kind of on the websites. It's already on YouTube, but I consider that like the prime time. Then I've got my like rerun version that I can put up again if I have to. Like if something happens, I can re-put it up. And then I've got my archives. So, I mean, technically everything's already online. I could just not bother with it all, right? But anyway, there's that level of it too, I guess.
Right now, personally, for some of my personal stuff, I've considered Amazon S3 back storage, and I've considered Backblaze as well. So, but I think it's
is that a company or is that a system or a type?
Backblaze. I think it's like $60 a year.
I mean, that's a company like a Dropbox or
it's the name of a company, yeah.
So, and then the other option, and I've been looking at this, but I just don't have the money or time right now, is a couple of things. Taken, like, you can buy external hard drive cases and you take that apart and you just put 6 hard drives in there instead of the 1. There's that kind of option where you kind of DIY a, whatever that's called, a storage system or storage service or something. Either take a regular computer and repurpose it in like an old computer and repurpose it into a bunch of hard drives, or take something and what's kind of neat is create a case or create some way to hold a bunch of drives and then put a Raspberry or something in there to run them. I've seen multiple ways of like DIY, and then you can take like interesting stuff. Like I saw a thing, and I have server cases. I just happen to think it's neat to own stuff that at one time cost somebody like $40,000, right? Just neat. So I have server cases. It would be cool to take an old server case, which is literally just a thing to hold big ass old fashioned hard drives, 12 at a time, and with a power supply on. And then the power supplies are hot swappable. The drive bays are hot swappable. So figuring out ways to like just shove all your old hard drives into something that can hold 12 or 15 hard drives, and then rating that into like whatever the type of RAID is, where, you basically take all your hard drives and you think of them like slices in a loaf of bread, and they all become a big giant hard drive together. And you can take a slice or two away and it really doesn't matter. You still got a loaf of bread, and that's sort of what it's like. And then you have these hot swappable drives. They're all running, kind of working on the same team. And if one of them fails, because one of them will, you just grab another hard drive of any kind and shove it in there. And the right kind of RAID, I don't know what it is, 10 or something, will just pick it right up and incorporate that chunk. And it's like the Borg of hard drives, right? You just keep shoving hard drives into it.
Right. I was looking at just taking one of the computers I'm not using around, just shoving a couple drives in it, and on one of the drives just installing FreeNAS. Basically it's an operating system, a Linux operating system customized to just use all the hard drives in that computer as a network attached storage.
You put that on a drive, or else it's on a backbone or some sort of bus or something.
It's basically it installs the Linux operating system, and it goes through the software configuration. So all you do is you just install that to one of the drives, and then the rest of the drives you've got on that computer are used for storage.
So you can just take a bunch of hard drives and put power to them, so now they're turned on, and then run a whatever kind of cord, ATA or SATA or whatever, connected to them, and now they're all connected. And then you're saying you just connect that to your network physically with this software on one of the hard drives, and that becomes the NAS?
Basically all you do is just turn the computer on, hook the network cable into your router or your switch, your network switch.
The ones I've seen use a computer where you have a processor and RAMs and the backbone of the motherboard, and then you just keep plugging hard drives into that existing structure. You're talking about removing the motherboard and the processor, though.
No.
Well, okay, then we're talking about the same thing.
And we're talking about the same thing because I've got computers I'm just not using lying around that I could.
Okay, I thought you meant you could just somehow daisy chain a bunch of hard drives and they would be.
Oh, no, not without some sort of not with some sort of breadboard to daisy chain it all together and bridge them.
Yeah. And that's what I guess in that, like the idea of using a Raspberry Pi as the computer part, so that you don't have to have a big giant motherboard and all that crap. Although
did you see that? Did you?
I mean, people have big motherboards. I mean, all the motherboards laying around. It's just I don't want to have to power it and run all that stuff and run Windows. I like the idea of running a little tiny Linux on a little tiny computer and just have a bunch of hard drives connected to it instead of USB drives.
Did you see the Raspberry Pi case that basically takes 3 hard drives and just bridges them together into a network attached storage drive?
No, that's not. Well, I mean, maybe not. Either yes or I don't know, but yeah, I've seen stuff like that. But like I said, we only barely looked to see if it was possible, and then went, all right, well, that's interesting. But then it was like I say, $50 or something for a year's worth of 2 terabytes in the cloud. And I was like, well, I wish I had time. It might be interesting to play with all that, but I don't, and I don't have time, and I'm not gonna, I mean, it's a nice theoretical concept, but to realistically keep moving, I'm just going to pay $50, put the shit on the cloud, and keep moving. But eventually, that is something that I think if you were maybe trying to explain computing to somebody or trying to teach a kid, better than a computer class could, like here's how we can repurpose some old stuff and learn some skills along the way. That might be a neat project for making an old network storage thing. I still think it's necessary. There's the other thing is, we just experienced, tomorrow or right now in the middle of this chat, everything could go down. And then all that cloud stuff is pointless. I mean, it's probably not pointless. It's worth the $50, but it is pointless if we ever lose internet. And all I got to do is lose a pole. I don't even have to lose the infrastructure of the country. I just got to lose a pole or two. Somebody has to have an accident and run into the wrong telephone pole somewhere. And I could be away from my network stuff, my online storage for a long time. I'd have to really do stuff to get my online storage, where a couple of hard drives, you got them all the time, but at the other hand, you have to keep them up and worry about them and make sure they work and then power them up and all of this.
Right.
There's nothing perfect for sure. But anyway, for this case, we're just going to grab, I guess, this 2 terabyte external solid state thing. Let's just verify that it's solid state. It looks kind of big for being solid state. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't actually say solid state anywhere on here, so I don't even think it is now. This is portable hard drive case, so we're going to go back and keep looking. But anyway, I like to have some sort of just an external brick for putting stuff on, just so you can portability and I don't know, security, I guess. Keep your stuff on there, unplug it, carry it in your pocket. You don't have to, worry about your computer having all your data on it in the hotel room or something. Wow, are hard drives impossible to find or something? Why am I not finding? All I had is 2 terabyte and solid state, and it's literally finding $300 hard drives. How can they be that expensive for a 2 terabyte? I'm going to go down to 1 terabyte and see what happens. Now they're down to $50, 95. So that's weird. I guess with everybody being home, they just ate up all of the 2 terabyte hard drives, I guess. So this is an external HDD. This doesn't look like, that looks like a regular hard drive. So I'm not getting solid state. Yeah, I'm not. These are way too big to be solid states. So maybe it's not accepting the solid state parameter. Try clicking it again if I can. Maybe just all the solid state stuff got purchased.
Possibly.
Yes, yeah, because all these things are talking about RPM. You don't really need RPMs on solid state.
No, no. If it's RPM, it's a platter drive. If it says solid state, it's solid state. You know, if it says like 500 MB/s, that's solid state.
I'm gonna try 3.0. I was just watching a thing yesterday. I never realized that USB 3 is just USB 2 next to 5 other ports. Like you can shove regular USB into half of a USB 3, the flat side of USB 3. Like I never paid attention, and I was like, "What? I don't know if it works, but I know you can shove it in there."
One way to find out.
No, I don't want to. I don't know. Nah, I don't think there is because it's the, you know, like I only have USB 3 like that on my drives like this that, you know, look like a little piece of pack of cigarettes or something. So I could plug in a USB cord to it, but I think I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't think I'm scared to ruin the drive is basically what I'm saying. Because I don't know if it's just going to add power, but not enough. I mean, if it just ignores those other plugs, let me try to see what I'm talking about here. Click on one of these. I'm going to have to get one of these solid state ones or non-solid state ones anyway. So if you look at USB 3, I never really paid attention because it's just this big wide thing with like a notch in the middle. And I just figured the notch was to make sure you plugged it in upside down or not. But if I can get this thing to stay, that side is just a regular USB. You can still plug a regular USB in here. It's just that I'm not going to because, like I said, I don't know what the hell that would actually do to the drive. But physically, it's just USB with some stuff jammed on the side. And they showed that to me in the video the other day, and I was like, holy crap, I never even paid attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Neat video on the evolution of USB. That way too complicated. I hated USB forever because I grew up in 98 days. So back when USB was sucky and shitty still, or stuckier and shittier. And
USB 1 was awful. It was the worst thing ever to come out of computers because
compared to everything else, which nothing else needed anything. It was just like plug and works. Plug, maybe something could be broken, but like for the most part, if you could plug it in, it worked. Or at least it identified it was the right thing. Like a printer port was different, a joystick was different. USB though, all hell's breaking loose. It could be a printer, it could be a mouse, it could be a keyboard, it could be a hard drive. Fuck you and everything else. And the computer didn't know because it wasn't built for that yet. So anyway, that's where I got into USB, and I was like, fuck USB, I hate it because I was a tech support back then, and it was a pain in my ass. So I never liked it, and then obviously the world went to it. But then, oh yeah, we love USB so much that now here's USB 2. We love it so much that here's USB 3. It's the perfect thing until the next USB, and then the next one, and the next one. So I really don't pay attention to it. I watched that video and I was like, oh, this is fairly interesting because now I could give a shit, right? I'm not tech support anymore. Like, I don't care. Right. So, yeah, I was just watching this thing, kind of interesting because of it's USB's like 9mm. People buy it and then they got to justify how good it is. But it's better than nothing. But it's better than not having a cord, right? But really, they're just justifying their decision after the fact. So that's what it was like watching that thing about USB. Like, oh, it's perfect, except for we made it better. Oh, it's perfect now, except for, well, we made it better. And then it's perfect now, except we made it a little bit better. And we had to change it because of this.
My whole problem with USB 1 was what I was used to using the old serial port game ports for controllers. And I'd have to wait like 15 minutes for USB to, initialize and, for the controller to work. And it wouldn't, there was input lag with USB 1.
I never got much use of the stuff. I only had to troubleshoot it because I was not doing anything useful on my computer. So I never dealt with that part, but that would be frustrating as well, too, especially when it was sold as like faster and better.
Yeah. And heaven forbid you ever unplug a USB 1 device while it's been used.
Yeah, well,
those are awful days.
And that's one of the reasons I think I ruined my drives the other day, or a month ago now, is just unplugging them all the damn time. I didn't realize you're supposed to go through this little procedure. So now I go through my little procedure whenever I unplug them. But there's like a little dance you're supposed to do. You got to go down here by your clock, and there's like I'd like to unplug my drive now, please, computer. And then your computer goes, ding. Okay, now you can. Basically, though, there's a bunch of temp files, I guess the easiest way to say it, maps that the computer keeps track of. Like, I'm going to keep track of where all that hard drive stuff is. And if you yank it, it could be in mid-sentence and like only drew half the map. It's like, I kind of keep track of where everything is on that hard drive on this piece of paper. Oh, you just let the piece of paper fly out the window. So we still have everything, just that there's no way of knowing where any of it is. That's the boat I was in. And I think I created it by doing that. But there's no way to know. So I will continue to blame other people.
All right. Well, at least we got that figured out.
There's no need to beat yourself up about it. If you think you messed yourself up, you can just assume somebody else did it to you. So where the hell did my list go? I just had a list here. Daily Gun Show Studio. Oh, it changes the picture every time you add something to your wish list. So if you have a grandma who has got a lot of money and she's bored and she needs somebody to pay money to, hook her up with my Amazon wish list over here. I need sugar mamas. If you got a rich aunt who's bored and has a lot of money, maybe she had a lot of husbands and has a lot of money she's spending now, send her over to my Amazon thing. I need sugar mamas. And this way they can buy me that ruggedized Dell i7, this 2 terabyte external record player, and then eventually get that microphone and one of these. I'll just put this mixer in here. I'm just going to put this mixer in for now. Even though, you imagine how big this thing is? This thing's like the size of a laptop, it looks like. But just to be efficient here, we'll just put this in the list too. Daily Gun Show. And then we'll go on to the next thing. So that's a computer. That is a microphone and a mixer. And then what else do we need here? We need some kind of a printer. Let's go find out what a good printer would be like over on Amazon.
Get like a black and white laser printer.
What? No, I already have that. I want a good printer.
A color laser printer.
I don't know, though. See, there's color laser printers, and then there's something else between a laser and a regular. And it's something about a regular laser printer, the way I've seen the thing. Let's say a laser printer is a bar here. And normally a piece of paper goes over the bar and it gets laser printed black, right? So the color, they got a red and a yellow and a blue. So they'll go 4 different humps. They'll go take the paper over the black, and now it's got some black. I don't know what order. Probably yellow, then probably blue, then red, then black, right? And then it comes out the other end. So it takes some time because it has to go boom, 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 and then come out. So there's some other kind where the piece of paper comes up and it goes across all 4 humps at the same time or some shit. And I forget what they call that, but they don't call it color laser. They call it something else. And it's not very popular except for people that need speed. Like if you are looking for 24 pages per minute instead of 12 pages per minute or something like that. So that's where, and then it was something else about, one thing to look at is the performance of a printer, right? So if you're an end user, all you give a shit about is performance because somebody else is buying it. Somebody else is paying for the upkeep and the accessories and everything, right? Your job is I drew this on my computer. I want it to come out perfectly. This is the best computer for that. So if you look at reviews from that person, that's all you're going to find out about. But if you look at reviews of printers from people who refill printer cartridges, they don't give a shit what it looks like. They care about if you can refill the ink cartridges or not. And like when you look at reviews from people who maintain printers, It's a whole different story. So when I look at reviews of anything, I'm usually looking at it from how do I fix this, repair this, like keep this going, and then of the ones that I can keep going, practically, which is the best one? Because I don't give a shit about the Ferrari or the Lamborghini, you know, to be able to say I got the Lamborghini and then the first time it breaks, I've got the broken Lamborghini. Like, big deal, right? I want the whatever, I want the cop car. I want the thing that'll work. And when it breaks, if it breaks, I can just go to the shop and get any number of parts and then it's working again until it ever breaks again. That would be ideal. And then when I look at stuff from that angle, that's where the color lasers are pretty neat, because lasers, you just refill that powder. There's no inks or anything. It can be messy, but it can also be pretty easy. So anyway, there was that middle, and I don't know what the hell it was called. There was some other, I could put down here, but it was something like color, and it wasn't hybrid. It had like another name, like, oh man, was it neon, like color, something like neon or LED. Maybe it's an LED. Was that it? Like a color LED? That might be it. And even if they don't call it that, they might call it like a fast laser printer or something. They said, you know, I was watching one of these videos on like just the tech side. They weren't really talking about models or anything. They were just talking about the technology behind it all. And like I say, I've been looking at, I wish I could get things printed, but like these books cost a fortune. They're like printing cards, decks of cards. They don't get cheap individually until you buy a shit ton, until you buy so many that they've set up the print run and they can get it cheap, you know? So you've got to buy like just a ton. So I've been looking at where the line is where you can buy a printer that's decent to get a good quality result and still be able to make things sort of like Amazon, print on demand, right? So anyway, that's where I'm at. I bought literally the cheapest printer just to get my toe in the water. I bought a $44 printer. I think what I could get by on is something like this thing, a $99 printer, because the next level up from nothing will suck the piece of paper back in and spit it back out on the other side. And that is the difference between sitting there for 20 minutes watching a book get printed or walking away and coming back 10 minutes later probably and seeing the printed book sitting there and then just stapling it. So that's what I'd be looking at is without spending all night looking at it, you know, something probably in the hundreds of dollars, a couple of $100, because a $44 printer is fucking capable, like really good. I can't imagine, you know, a $200 printer is probably really, 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 really good, right? I don't know how much you guys spend on your printers, but I'm guessing something like $300 is probably, you're printing books with that, right?
Right. But you can if you want.
Huh?
You can print books with that if you want. You don't have to, though.
Oh, thank you. So I think I'm going to go with, I want to pick something that's just in the price range of something that's good. But obviously, if you were really picking a printer, at least for me, I would be looking at the cost of the ink cartridges and the cost to refill an ink cartridge. But with that being said, I'm going to act like this $90 one is something that I would have researched or something, because it looks like it can, what's it called when they can suck in the thing? Double-sided printing, probably?
I
Oh,
don't
it's got a fax machine in it, so that makes it good.
Facsimile. There you go.
A lot of times now you can just walk up with your phone. Oh, it's got this kind. This kind I kind of like too. At least I like the concept of this, that you can plug in a yellow, a red, and a blue separately, because then you can run out of yellow, right? And not have to replace the whole damn thing. Or in my case, I can refill just the colors that I'm whipping through. So I got to assume they're not even acting like printing both sides is a feature. So I'm thinking that anything besides the bottom of the line printer these days can print both sides. I don't think that's a special feature anymore. Let's see. Disclaimers. Yeah, they don't even talk about it. And I remember when we were I was over at somebody's house trying to do a test print, and we were farting around forever trying to figure out if their computer could do both sides and like where the button was to make it do both sides or whatever. And then we figured out that we were overthinking it 1,000%. All you had to do was tell it the file, and the printer did all the rest of the work. It just kicked it out the way we wanted, like by knowing what it was given or whatever, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to like mansplain it at all.
No
So I'm
mansplaining?
guessing that's what's going on with this, because it doesn't even talk about printing on both sides as a feature. I don't buy enough printers. I'm probably sitting here spending way too much time worrying about like the most basic thing a printer can do or something. Front and rear paper feeding. That's probably what it is, right? I'm guessing. So anyway, that's a fine. Now we're going to go with that printer. So did we already add it to the list? I don't remember. So adding it to the list. Boom. So let's say you got an ex-wife out there that's spending all of your money. Send her my way. I could take your ex-wife as a sugar mama, and then at least your money's going to something good and not something stupid. Patriots out there. One guy has a Canon PMXA all-in-one. This is pretty much what I'm looking at is a Canon. I went with the Canon that is in a black color because it looks cooler than the stupid white printers. And it just looks like a suitcase kind of. And from what from the printers I've fucked around with myself, the printers I've inherited, and then the one I bought, I don't think they need to look all goofy. I used to like the goofy look of a printer, but now these ones that are just sort of a square that look kind of simple, like a rectangle, I'm digging that because they don't need to be all that other stuff. Especially now that I've taken them apart and stuff. A lot of that's just extra goofiness for the marketing or whatever to make it look more impressive, so you buy it because it looks cool.
Right.
Exquisite plastic chassis. Yeah, I know. What was it? I was looking at some of those mixers and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. For me, I'm going to drop it maybe like, if it's on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm dropping it 3 points if they can't even spell it in English right. Because how much shit can they possibly be given if they didn't even have somebody proofread their English before they sold it? If we were sending it to China, we would care to make it say the right thing in Chinese, right? Or at least try. Like, it's not like there's 100 different ways to say something in English, They really mess it up. So I think it's an indication that they barely give a shit what country it's going to, depending on what it is, I guess.
Right. You still there?
Oh, I muted and said a bunch of shit. So I don't know how much of that you didn't hear, but I was saying stuff about Patriot talking about his scanner and copier.
Right.
All right, so we got that. I don't know how much of it I missed. I was just saying how it was a while before I realized that printers and copiers are just always going to be a scanner and a copier are just always going to be part of a printer. They don't even make printers without it anymore. Because for a long time, it was like you bought a printer and you bought a scanner. And if you needed a scanner, you bought a scanner. And everybody else who needed a printer bought a printer. And then like that 1 or 2 people that needed both, yeah, there's a combo for you, but it costs more. But nowadays, you can't even buy a regular old printer. Like the $44 printer I bought has a scanner in it. For $44. And it doesn't even print both sides. And yeah, it's way better than the old flatbed. I needed to figure out if when I when I fill my ink cartridges, they take some amount of time before they start printing right. So there's no point in printing a book, that's 10 pages or something, because the first couple of pages are going to look like shit. So I figured out, there's a scanner in here. I'll just stick something in the scanner, and then I can print that, and then I get a test print right away without having to run to my computer and do a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I figured out the scanner was in there. It's actually super useful for that. And yeah, it is amazing. Like, I was just sticking my hand under there. And back in the old days, when you would just like stick your hand under there or like look at it, you'd open the lid and look at it. It would be all cloudy and stupid looking. Now it's like a freaking picture. Like if you took a picture out of your phone or something, it's crazy how good it is.
Yeah.
And it scans differently. Like the old ones I had would scan, let's say, from left to right. This one will scan and then go backwards, and then like it'll scan like an inch and then go backwards and start over and scan like an inch and then like go backwards. It's weird. So you can kind of fuck with it. I was holding my hand over it and like wiggling my fingers and stuff, and then it would scan, and like you get one of those kind of, you get a weird effect out of that. Looks like I have like 12 hands or 12 fingers on my hand. I used to have a scanner that you would roll over a document and hook it up to a laptop. I've seen those in like back in the day. I knew about them, and then I seen one in like a James Bond movie, and I was hooked. Like I had to have one, but at those days I wasn't into computers and I had no computers. And then by the time, like now, I just keep forgetting to buy them. But they're not that expensive. You can get one for under $30 probably. There's a thing that's more like a pencil that will, wherever you point it at, it'll scan. You remember the Bearcat scanner? Was that what it was called? The Radio Shack scanner that they gave you for nothing?
Dot Matrix?
No, it was for barcodes. And the idea was they would give you the scanner for free. And then their catalogs would have barcodes in them, and you could just barcode shit out of the catalog, I guess. I don't know. No, so everybody would go to the store and get this free scanner. I was like, maybe it was even USB. I don't remember how long ago it was. It was when I was at AOL, I think. So it might not have been USB. It might have been like PS2 or something, right? It was some kind of old hardware, though. You'd go to the store and get for free this scanner. And it was like a pencil, like a wand type of scanner. But instead of looking like a pencil or a marker or something, it was in the shape of a cat, like a toy. Like it looked like a cat. Its mouth was the optical part, and I forget, it was called like a Bearcat or something. Radio Shack cat scanner. I think they went broke because everybody just went and got them, and then like did other things with it. Just use it as a free thing. Radio Shack.
Trunk scanner?
No, like for computer, the barcode scanner. Yeah, I just see a picture of it right here. The QCat.
QCat. All right.
Oh, I guess I have to write scanner and not scatter, and then it'll figure it out easier. So you would go to the store and get this thing for nothing. A little baggie like this. And the idea was that you would then get their catalogs, I guess, and scan up a bunch of shit that you were going to buy or do something with it. But then people were like, oh, this is just a scanner. So you can just reprogram, software to do whatever. And this is just like a free scanner. I had one, I think. Now it looks like they're between $4 and $15, depending. But it was no different than one of these kind of scanners you see at the store or whatever, just in a different form factor. But I'm looking for a document scanner.
You can get one off eBay for about $9 these days.
You're talking about the QCat or whatever.
Yeah.
So this here is two different kinds of what Patriot's talking about. But the one I seen was more like, it looked like it was not that wide. It was like more like a pack of cigarettes, and you would scan it in your hand. This is like a bar, and you scan the whole page with it at once.
Right.
But this is only $45. Back in the day, this would have cost a shit ton. And this doesn't need
I've
no
got
wires.
one of those.
And it doesn't need no wires, right? Like you just scan a bunch of stuff, and then when you're done, you take it over to your computer, you take the card out, and you download it all. But like you don't need to have it attached to a computer to scan, right?
Yeah, that uses a micro SD card, so you know.
Yeah, see, this would be the shit. This is like spy stuff right here. This is super neat. So I'd totally want one of these. I would have one and I'd play with it all the damn time, and then I would put it away and never use it. I just, because of that, I haven't bought one. But no, I think these things are cool as hell. I would totally want one. I have about 100 of these things from back in the day. I think I still have one or two. They're different. Mine are older and shittier, but from back in the days when they were still opticaling every book on the planet, I got a bunch of those from schools. It looked like a backwards overhead projector, basically. Anyway, so that was the handheld scanner. We don't need anything like that. So what do we got in our, what are we calling that thing? A list? I guess it's a list.
I don't like lists.
Oh, I keep lists. So we're going to go to the Daily Gun Show studio. And what we've got is a laptop, $2,900. We got this microphone for $30. So now we're at $3,030. Now we're at $3,100. Now we're at $3,220. That was $99. So $3,320. So we're not even that much into it. And we've got a nice laptop, a mixer, a little hard drive for interaction. What are we missing? Let's see. Well, we're an hour and a half into it. Let's see what people are saying out here. You might get good cash. I'm hoping for an antique. Oh, okay, I see. You used to have a handheld scanner you roll over a document, have it hooked up to a laptop for the OCR. I didn't even think about it for OCR, yeah. Recognition, so I can use those silly letters, Night Strike. Got one of those hand scanners, and might get good cash. My brother stole my Atari and got high dollars and went to college. So, I can't think of what else. Probably need some other stuff for this, but I don't know. It's just an exercise to do something different for the show tonight, and had a couple people jump in. Barbecue's in here, just keeps jumping in and out. Not saying too much, but Night Strike's in here.
Yeah, y'all are speaking gibberish for me. I'm just sitting here and learning.
We're just talking about computers and tech, so you know, if you don't understand something, ask a question.
Yeah, and that's
Like I said, I sit back and just keep learning. Like I said before, I'm very technology illiterate. Like I said, last time I owned a laptop or PC or anything, it was a Sony Vaio when Windows 7 first come out.
Really?
Wow, that's a while ago.
That's not that bad. That's not that bad. There's definitely people that got sick of this stuff and left completely longer ago, or before that. So it's all relative, but I think that's one of the things. You can sit down and try to have like a workshop where it's like, whatever, we're gonna build a computer, we're gonna set up a studio, we're gonna whatever the task is. We're gonna do it, and here's the steps, and that might work, but it's just like anything. Like if somebody was going to tell you how to set up your kitchen or your garage or your bathroom or your bedroom, you're going to listen to their ideas and then do whatever the hell you want because it's your life, right? So it's the same kind of stuff on this. I think you can get familiarization from instruction for sure. And once you've got some awareness, you can use instruction to determine the differences between styles or preferences and that kind of thing. But for just getting the hang of stuff and getting working knowledge or working awareness, especially for something that doesn't have a lot of consequence. Nobody's getting paid to do this. Nobody's buying any of this stuff. It's just theoretical, technically. It's just a different way of thrashing through a bunch of stuff. And so it was just a way to talk about some of the tools that we would use we could do a lot with these tools, actually. So we got a fancy laptop that's decent, like an i7. The brain of that laptop is good. And then the RAMs in it are strong. And then the chassis, the machine, is designed for like cop cars and tanks and stuff. It's literally ruggedized to the weather and being dropped, and probably vibration and sun and all kinds of stuff that you don't think about that electronics are usually susceptible to. So having a $3,000 laptop is not that bad for that laptop, actually. And that's a pretty good deal because my laptop was like 12. This is definitely better than double my laptop.
That
But anyway,
book.
yeah, it's basically a Dell ruggedized laptop. Yeah. I don't know if they call it a ToughBook anymore, but yeah. So decent laptop though, that's made to be strong. We got a shitty $30 microphone because basically to me that's sacrificial. I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars on something that's external and plugged in by a cord. And, you know, I could buy 10 $30 ones and be more useful than having one $300 one, in my personal opinion.
Why get the $30 one when you can get the one I linked for like 24? Same thing.
Oh, well, same concept though. And I didn't research these. I'll put that on here. I literally just poked for a minute at each of these. Like I say, just to do a theoretical exercise here. These aren't necessarily the specific ones I would buy. They're just in the direction of the stuff I would buy. Then we went with a little external hard drive just to have a fast place to put stuff, even though this thing probably has a decent hard drive. It has a 1 terabyte solid state drive. So inside of it, it has a hard drive that doesn't have any moving parts. So not only is the machine rugged, but the thing inside that holds its memory is just nothing. It doesn't have any moving parts. So it's very difficult to hurt this thing. And unlike a regular laptop, you can take a decent regular laptop that costs a lot of money and put it in a paint shaker, like at the hardware store, and it would basically ruin that laptop, especially if it was on. Like it would be trying to write on the disk with all that going on, and you'd probably ruin it. This laptop is designed to be in a Jeep or a Humvee and need to be guidance for some sort of munition, right? So it's designed to live in all that kind of conditions. And it's just like how much they're going to solder, what decisions they make when they use materials and apply stuff to it. So anyhow, so we've got a pretty decent hard drive in it, but we're getting an external one just because the stuff that you put on a hard drive sometimes is handy to have in a way that you can physically take it off and move it somewhere to another computer, or like I say, leave the hard drive or leave the computer somewhere and have the hard drive with you for whatever reason, and just have a little bit more room and some options. And it's the size of a pack of cigarettes, and it has one wire that connects it to the computer that powers it. So it's basically $100 worth of resource and no real drain on anything except for the money. Then we got a mixing board to work with that microphone. And then because it has 4 channels, we can plug in like a phone or 2 other people. You know, there's lots of options there. It's big and obnoxious and unnecessary, and we didn't shop around, but I was just looking for something cheaper than Never Enough Ammo's fancy one. And then the printer is just a way to get color stuff. And I particularly want to be able to print out some booklets and manuals and stuff. So being able to have it print both sides of a piece of paper allows me to give it a task and then walk away. Where now, because I went cheaped out, saved $50, I got to stand there. If I'm printing out 30 pages, well, that would, if I print out a 30-page book, that would be 16 pages, 14 pages, no, a quarter. So 7 pages. So however long it takes to print 14 pages, and then it takes 7 pieces of paper, I think it's maybe half an hour. So, and that's half of that is because I got to wait for the thing to print and then pick the piece of paper up, flip it over the right way, shove it in the other side, and it takes my humanness some time to do that. So it'd probably take a little less for a robot to just do it all automatically. But anyhow, that's the concept of that printer, and that would give you the ability to scan and to print. So that's a pretty capable little desktop operation here. It doesn't have a camera or a desk, what am I trying to say, a webcam. You could probably do something like a webcam added to this and do a lot of stuff. You could do definitely content creation. You could definitely type. If I was going to type a lot, I'd probably get an external keyboard, a Bluetooth or something, a keyboard that I could put somewhere on a table so I don't have to reach over to that laptop. Oh, I'd probably get a second monitor added to this. No matter what I was going to do, a second monitor would be the shit. So let's do that right now. What monitors are y'all looking at if you were going to buy another monitor today?
Get an Acer, an Asus, or Asus, or ASUS. Samsung makes good monitors. You know,
All I
the standard companies that make TVs also make monitors. So just look at those.
All I care about is ultra wide now. I'm an ultra wide fan. So for me, I don't give a shit about nothing as long as it's capable and it's wide, like this one you're watching me on right now. This is not 6 or 8 monitors that you're watching. It's not some kind of fancy technique I use to get 6 or 8 standard computer monitors in front of you. This is one monitor, and it's called an ultra wide, and it looks like one of these things. It's like if somebody built a house on the side of a mountain and they had a giant window in the front of that house. That's what it's like having this monitor. Except it's not the landscape, it's the internet. I just have this giant window to the internet. It made my dog cough a bunch of times. It's so freaking wide.
I bet your dog also rolled its eyes at you too.
She came in here to wonder what I was doing and then coughed a bunch of times and left. So I'm going to go with this $300 one. I don't think they should cost that much. This one cost me $200, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm looking at a bigger one maybe or something. I just went ultra wide. I didn't really say how many inches. How big is mine? Ooh, mine's not that big.
So I do have a quick question now.
30.
If I did get a new laptop, couldn't I just plug the laptop via USB into my television and use my television as a monitor?
Not USB, but HDMI. Yes, if your monitor has it. If your laptop has HDMI out and your TV has HDMI, yeah, you can just use that cable.
Well, don't they make USB to HDMI cables?
They do, but they're not always great.
I wasn't sure.
It's the wrong part. So when you got a computer, it's got a motherboard. That's the place where everything else is connected to, and the processor, the brain, is connected to the motherboard, and then it'll have usually, well, it has to almost nowadays have a fan or some sort of a cooling thing on it. So that's your pretty much every computer starts there. Most of the time they're going to have RAM attached to them right away, so they can, that's their arms, that's what they juggle stuff with. The RAM is how they're able to do programs and things. The brain lets them do the programs, but the RAM lets them wiggle the stuff into their brain. So you've got those core pieces, and then you plug hard drives into just ports on there. Like the brain and the RAMs are physically connected to the motherboard. Everything else pretty much is just connected by wires and shit. So when you are talking about USB, you're talking about that motherboard. That's called a bus. The wires that exist on that motherboard are called the bus. So that bus is the fastest bus there is. It's literally the piece of board that connects the motherboard and the RAMs. You can't get faster than that bus. But now if you want to connect something like a video card, you got to plug it into that board. So now there's a bus that has to connect to that board. So when you connect USB, it's the same kind of thing. You don't just connect USB to the motherboard. You connect USB card to a motherboard, and then it talks to the motherboard. So that's a bus. So that's, you've heard of buses. That's sort of a generalized way to think of buses. It's the ways that the thing talks to the motherboard. And if you are talking on the motherboard on its bus, you can't go any faster than that. That's the fastest way you could talk to the processor. But if you're going to add levels of complication or hurdles in there, you're going to add levels of complication and hurdles. And that's where USB connects to the board, and then it's USB, and then there's all kinds of translations and blah, blah, blah. Where a video card just connects right to the motherboard and it's done. So a video card or a video, like what is it called, HDMI? That's a connection that goes straight from the motherboard to the HDMI to the computer, to the screen, I guess. When you go to USB, you're jumping through a couple extra hurdles. So yes, it can technically be done, but then you're not doing it the most efficient way, and it's going to be hobbled compared to the other options you got. So that's why, yes, to answer your question, but also no, to answer your question. But
so
yeah,
the best bet would be if it has an HDMI output from the laptop.
It will have something. If it's not, HDMI is just new. It's like the common one now. If you got an old laptop, what's it called, VGA? There'll be something besides USB that it connects, because almost every laptop since Windows 98 has had they figured out that you're going to probably want to plug some other monitor into it. And because of all the stuff I just said, and because USB didn't exist back in the old days, they made some kind of plug to plug in a monitor. So that's your best bet, is to always plug
it'll be one of 3 plugs: VGA, DVI, or HDMI.
That other one we said, though, the third one is rare. It's not, they didn't use that very long.
They didn't use DVI very long. They just use, you would see VGA more common. But
now, so the other thing is, whenever you physically get them connected, and usually on a laptop, like I say, it's designed, most laptops nowadays, it's almost rare to find one that isn't designed to run another monitor, but it wants to run a computer monitor. And the difference is a TV is made to sit on the side of a room and be visible to people on the other side of the room, and maybe people sitting over there and over there and over there and over there. Like, it still works. A computer is designed to be right in front of your fucking face in your lap, and you're looking at it. And ideally, the guy sitting next to you in the airplane doesn't exactly see what you're seeing, because depending on the laptop, right, they're either made or they're kind of designed that way. So they're just designed for different purposes. So when you shove that HDMI up into a TV and try to make it a monitor, it will technically be the monitor, but it might look like warmed over butt, because it's trying to do something different with its life than you're trying to make it do. And you can get way more complicated and fight that and make it better. But for the most part, just assume that when you're going to plug something into a TV, it's going to look shitty. And when you buy a monitor, the reason this costs $300 and a TV might cost $50 is because it's designed to be sitting in front of your face and look good, and probably run a video game really fast, which is, I don't get into that, but that's the other part. I'm sure a TV can go as fast as a monitor, but do monitors go faster for video games? The monitors might go faster, like they refresh faster or something, so that you can see video games better. But
gotcha. Yeah, because with my vision, like, I ended up buying, there's like a 75-inch TV, and I've still got to sit a couple feet away from it to really see what's going on the TV. So that's part of the reason I really haven't gotten a new laptop or anything recently. Like, my ex had a laptop that I tried to play with after my vision loss, and just with everything standard as it was a lost cause, and she wouldn't take the time to try and change the settings, so everything was blowing up. So I was thinking, you know what, if I could plug into the TV and do whatever I want to do looking at that, because I'll still be, right on top of it basically when I'm doing that.
I mean, that's theoretic again. Every time I go to a hotel, I plug in my laptop to the TV at the hotel, and it's a monitor, and I sit right in front of it and I deal with it. So it's shitty compared to awesome, but it's amazing compared to nothing. So yeah, you can plug in a TV to your laptop and it'll be 98% of what you want. And if you don't go to a store and see what's better, you'll never care. You'll be amazed at what it's doing. And until you actually figure out how much clearer it could be, you won't care. But the problem is then you'll go watch some, like that. That's what happened to me, is I was perfectly fine living life with a normal size monitor like a regular people. But then I went over to my friend's house and he's got one of these wide, or he had one of these wide ones, and he was using it in front of me. And I'm like, there's no way I'm not having that. It's super good tool. Like, it's for the, I've used it a million times now. Having that giant room for whatever real estate for doing videos and stuff, it's just a better tool. It's like, well, I can make this regular screwdriver work on my Phillips screws. It's not perfect, but it can work. And then just buying a fucking Phillips screwdriver already.
All right, I got to address something Pants set out in the chat. He said you forgot DisplayPort, Night Strike. Pants, the DisplayPort is only used by monitors and video cards, and on TVs, even the new TVs these days, seldom will you find a TV that has a DisplayPort on it, unless it's like unless it's made for gaming. Then it'll have a DisplayPort.
Thus the sarcasm, because you were going into more detail than necessary to do a general synopsis. I think that was the point. So Pants is also saying he's got some kind of mic that he gave to Clover, and I wants to Indian give it over to me, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that version of that direction of Indian given. That's fine. Or am I allowed to say that? I'm in Arizona. I think I'm allowed to say that.
As long as it goes to you, I think it's okay.
He's saying a large diaphragm condenser mic with some blah blah blah. I believe I don't know what any of that means, but as long as it ain't USB, I'm down. So now I feel like Clover owes me a microphone. Most TVs, yeah, I said that. Go with the screen reading software. All right, so you can jump off the dark side, go with the screen reading software. It costs as much a monitor, then you don't have to worry about it and be slow. So that's interesting. So I have a couple of things that from the olden days. One of them is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a book reader for a TV. So you plug it into a TV like normal, like old fashioned way of plugging into a TV, like coax or something, and then turn the unit on and you put a book under there and you can wiggle the book all around in different directions. And it was like a magnifier, like the TV became a giant magnifier. It was the coolest thing ever. And now I wonder where it is. There's no way I threw it away.
It's called a frontal lens.
What?
It's called a frontal lens.
No, I'm not talking about a lens. I'm talking about a camera unit that plugs into a television. The television becomes the projector, let's say. It takes the video. It's like some sort of a video camera that is in this unit, and it's not that big. It's maybe a foot tall, and then, I don't know, a couple of foot by 2 foot or something. It's big enough that you could put it in the space like a VCR, I guess. Anyway, you put a book in there and wiggle it around, and it would be like wiggling it around under a fixed camera, so that if you were reading a book, let's say, you could move it along with the text or whatever. But then instead of projecting it with lenses and light up onto a screen, it was a video camera, and it would just be shoved into TV, and then it would come out on the screen. Correct, like not backwards. Super neat. Anyway, nobody knew what it was. It was just this weird, it's hard to describe. It just looks like a weird half of a project that's broken or something. Like it doesn't look like a complete thing. It doesn't look broken. It just doesn't look like it does anything. It doesn't have a point to it. It doesn't look like it has an obvious use. So I just took it home and started fiddling with it and figured out what it was. And I was like, oh, crap. I think I paid $1 for it or something. It was awesome. Anyway, so it can take like a, regular pocket, what do you call that thing? A paperback book. I don't know what the size of that font is, but it'll turn it into, the size of a television. The other thing is you have a magnifier on it. So I could turn a sentence of a book into the size of whatever television it was playing on. Super neat as a magnifier, and just so much clearer than any kind of screen or anything. Patriot saying they have standalone units like that where you can invert colors and magnify. Yeah, I'm sure. And this had to be a video camera. Like it had to be a camcorder is what I'm trying to say. Like a camcorder guts, just looking straight down basically into this little, I don't know what to call it. It wasn't really a lazy Susan. It was like the little tray thing was neat too. It was like the opposite of a mouse. It was like moving the mouse pad around instead of the mouse, right? So it was a really neat kind of a anti-friction. It was both without friction, but it would also stay wherever you put it. It was really neat. It is really neat. I just got to figure out where it is now. I'm trying to remember. I remember putting it in the shed when we had the shed. I don't know where it went when we came back from the shed. I hope I got it back from the shed. I sent it to Clover when he was looking at Mike's. He was worried about his air conditioner being too noisy. I can remember that. So yeah, feels like Clover basically stole my microphone. Okay, so we got to throw a monitor in here, and I don't know why these things are so expensive.
Just click the cheapest one and go with that.
Well, I would, but they're super expensive. $370 is the whatever 21. So this one's 34.
Go a size down then.
I don't want to go size down. Let's not be crazy. So I'll go with this one. It's not my money. It's some sugar mama's money. I don't want to say price is no object, but it's not my object. Daily Gun Show Studio. Boom. So that's another thing we definitely want in the list here. So now we can go back this is a different list. This was a list for the van. Let's go back to the gun show list. And we'll just drop this list into the chat. Again, if you've got a rich grandma, a rich aunt, ex-wife, sister, let them know they can spend a lot of their money over on my wish list here. And then, I'll buy this stuff. Or I won't have to buy it. I'll just have it. And then I'll use it in front of everybody. What happened here? Like, why doesn't this thing say add to cart? I guess there's more than one way to buy it. So we got that laptop, we got a mic, got a mixing board. You know what I've been thinking about is some sort of a speaker. What do y'all use for speakers? This monitor that I think is so good had speakers in it, and for whatever reason, it just stopped using the speakers. I can't get the speakers to work anymore. If I wiggle the buttons on the monitor, it says the volume's 100%. As far as the monitor is concerned, the speakers are there and they're working. But if I look for speakers on the computer in Windows, they don't identify as existing. So I don't know if a cord went bad. I've plugged them in, I've blown on them and plugged them back in and stuff. Like, I can't get them to recognize. So I've been thinking, since I'm buying that board potentially anyway, to mix and bring the audio in nice and clear, I was thinking about getting some sort of speaker set up. Has anybody got any? I haven't bought one of these things. I think I've only ever bought a speaker for a computer once. So I have almost no experience with it. Anyone?
Yeah.
I know that they got these kind of things, like some kind
Sound
of
bars.
Yeah, that there's 5-in-1 or something. Like, so there's ways of getting really good sound. $24, is that all you got to buy is one thing, or do you got to buy pieces still? Like back in the olden days, you would buy woofers and you'd buy tweeters, you'd buy different parts of your speakers and put them in different parts of the room. You got to do all that shit still, or you just buy like one thing for $50 now? Yeah, $50. This is the worst chat ever. Nobody's giving me any advice. I'm just gonna have to buy this one, I guess.
We're gonna have to, get a leprechaun in here.
This guy seems pretty happy with that speaker sitting in front of him like that. Look how pleased he is with his decision. Oh, it's slim. Look at that. You can stick underneath. I kind of want one to be bigger than that. This looks too little. How can this be good? So this plugs in with both USB and, hell, I don't want to have to plug in USB to my speaker bar. Yeah, it wants left and right and USB. The USB is just for power, I guess. So I'm not giving this thing a USB. I guess I could plug it into a USB strip. Let's see. R use a set of Scorpion speakers. They work on Surround 5.1. Is that a brand or a type?
I think it's a brand.
PV Scorpions. Scorpions is the band. I mean, I've had these things. I can't even count how many sets of this kind of stuff I've just had. I don't ever bought it or nothing. It just happened. I just have it. But they always sucked. Various levels of shittiness. But they all get the sound out of a computer. That's all that really matters. And I don't care about having custom wavelengths or anything weird. I just need to hear it. And I'm half deaf because if I shoot all the time, or I used to back in the day. So, sorry, I'm not finding anything under Scorpion. I think I'm just gonna, I feel like I want more than this little stupid bar. This bar at least has a remote control on it. I feel like I would want this bar to be as long as my desk, not underneath of my monitor barely. So this one's 79. Is it bigger? Well, look at all the stuff going on in this one. It's got like 4 little tiny speakers. This one is not that much better, but at least it's a little bit better, so I'm getting this one. Or at least I'm letting the sugar mom buy this one for me. We'll put that over here, and we'll put it in the Daily Gun Show list. So now we've got a speaker. Now we can listen to that. What else are we missing? Anything at this point? Oh, some kind of a nice mouse.
Patriot asked if you had added a camera yet.
No, because I just hadn't yet. But now it's probably not the best. What do you type in for, I guess, a gaming laptop or a gaming mouse? This might not be the best time to get a webcam because of the shortage, right? It's like a panic buy on webcams because of all the kids in webcam school. But no, I didn't look at cameras yet. Let's see. What is this brand? Oh, this is a little Dragon Eye. So I didn't pay very much at all. I'm super impressed by this thing. What would I type in here? I guess there's not too many. Is that the Dragon? No, it's a little different. Can I just go in here and do by cost? I think I didn't even pay that much for this mouse because I remember paying a lot for the last mouse based on Pawnery saying that I should get a high DPI mouse. I was like, oh, I'll pay high dollars for a high DPI, like a sucker, because I bought the one that he recommended, and then or one like he recommended, and then it turns out it's fine, it's okay. But the second one I got here, I paid like $9 for it, and it is every bit as good. I can't find it. So I'm pretty sure, you know what it was? I was on Newegg probably. And they have a different kind of store that's a little bit better for computer stuff. And I'm pretty sure I had a way to choose the DPIs, which is how you rate a mouse, I guess. And I will never go back to a non-gaming mouse. Like, no way. It is so nice being able to throttle up and down my DPIs. Just for having, you don't know what it's like when you have a little tiny monitor. So you people wouldn't know what this is like. But when you got a giant monitor like this, it takes effort to move your mouse from this side to the other. You can't do that with a regular mouse. Like a regular people mouse works for a regular size monitor. For this type of monitor, right? This is like you need a helicopter for this kind of real estate. So I can throttle my mouse up and down. Look at how slow my mouse is going back and forth. Now look at, I'm still wiggling my mouse on the table, the same amount. How throttled down it is. Now you can't even keep up with it because of that, right? So I'm never going back. So this thing is similar. Well, anyway, I don't like optical, or I mean, I like optical. I don't like cordless anymore. As much as I hate the cord, I do not like having to recharge mice ever. So I stick with a corded mouse and as high a DPIs as they'll let you buy. Like you can't buy enough DPIs. It's probably one of those things where it's a fake number anyway. But like this one, I think said it had 1,600 DPIs. That's not enough for me. I would want like 20,000 DPIs if I could get them. And then don't pay too much. I don't think you need to pay a lot because I don't think it's really tech that you got to pay money for. I think it's just a marketing business to the kids. You know, there's a lot of LEDs. There's a lot of paint jobs and stupid shit for the kids. Just get the boring one that costs $9, but has, look at this, 2,400 DPIs. This one over here is acting like it's so good because it's got colors and stupid shit for 1,600 DPIs. Boom, here's one that's not trying to impress nobody with 2,400 DPIs. So right there, that's all you got to look for is those DPIs. Buy as many as you can. And then I'm not going to try to tell people what kind of mouse to buy because the ergonomics is your hand. So some people are going to like a wide mouse or a tiny mouse or a whatever, a flat mouse or a bumpy mouse. Like that's about your hand. But anyway, that's a good point. Nobody brought it up, so I'm saying it to myself. This is a good point. You needed to get a good mouse. And once you
ever try a rollerball?
Back in the olden days when I didn't even use a computer, but when you use a computer, I don't think rollerballs. What do you think, Night Strike? I don't think you can really use a computer with a rollerball.
You mean like a track mouse? I didn't like the track mouses.
Let's say back when I was in high school doing the video editing classes, that's what we had hooked up to all the video editors, and I fell in love with them.
Well, I was going to say, for doing a task, like, some things, then yes, that interface can be great. But as your only interface, hell no. But if you can bring it over to do a task and then push it back over there, yeah. And I've got now I'm going to go ahead and just buy. Oh, none of these have enough DPIs for me. So I'm going to buy this, go up to the $70 level, I guess. Anyway, I was going to say, I've got a USB 3 strip or hub or whatever it's called, a powered hub, one of these things. And so I can I have my mouse plugged into it. I could have like a mouse, a trackball, and I don't know what it's called, but like a paddle, like back in the Atari days, the paddle, like that kind of controller would be cool. And then for me, I've got like a little switch next to each of my ports. So I have a little light and I can tell which ones are on. So if I want to charge something, I can. And if I want to, it is plugged into my computer, so it can be a mouse or it could be a hard drive. But whenever you're not using them, you can just turn it off and the computer forgets about them. That's what I like about it. So I would think having something like this for your peripherals like that would be awesome. Because something like a drawing tablet would be nice, for 15 minutes out of the day every other third week. But you wouldn't want to use it every day. So something like this where you could have it on your desk or around, plugged in, but not necessarily constantly bugging your computer, I think might work out really well. But for me, the trackball, I just never used it enough. But yeah, I guess you could see it for video editing because it's sitting right there. It's not moving all over the damn place. And that's where like the cord on a mouse gets annoying when you're moving like this and it's knocking shit over, where a trackball, you can just wiggle your finger. Pants is saying there's a reason they went away. I think the other thing is the wrong side up. So as a trackball sits there, minding its business, it's attracting dust and shit. So if you're using it every day, it's probably not a big deal, although you're getting oil and goop into it and it eventually has to be cleaned. But then if you're not using it, it's literally getting dust and shit in it. So the first time you go to use it after 2 years, it's going to be all dusty. Or a mouse is the opposite, right? Nothing bothers a mouse. But I don't know. There's definitely worse things than a trackball. But as far as like this, like for me on this monitor, I would be like playing a video game. It would be like spin, 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 spin to get the fucker to move over here. Or else maybe there is a way to flip the sensitivity on those things the same way there is on this, right? There must be actually. So that you can, not be sitting there for an hour to get across the screen. But then you get into all kinds of other things too, which I haven't played with too much. But different types of keyboards, and I'm trying to adjust my screen, my monitor, my mouse to get back to this monitor. You can get different kind of keyboards and different kind of input devices and stuff. All right, so I'm going to go with this one. No, 16,000. Yeah, look at that. 16,000. So I'm not even kidding around. This is the same one I have. Yeah, this is, or very close to the one I have. I have a little bit different thumb thingy. I would literally buy this one again. I would almost put this, if I had the extra money, I would buy this one right now. This looks like the same brand. Oh, it's wireless. I don't like the wireless part, but otherwise this is the same Dragon I have on mine. I haven't.
All right. Well, gee, I'm gonna head out. So good luck finding a sugar mama, and good luck on your cart solution thing.
Look at this. This thing basically has a revolver with cartridges next to it. It's almost like having a gun.
Those are weights.
Oh, is that for putting weights in your mouse? Are you serious?
Yeah, you put weights in the mouse, and it weighs a certain amount. It's for precision.
I think that if you're doing that, somebody ought to come along and smack you in the back of the head and say something to you.
I had a mouse just like that before it died.
So I don't even know. They got all this business going on. I guess it's just a wired, backlit gaming mouse without the goofiness. So, what is this mouse and mouse pad combo? What does the mouse pad do? Does it do something?
No, mouse pads are just mouse pads. Whatever they did before, they still do.
Well, it looks like they call it a gaming mouse pad, and it's got a cord coming from it. So I thought maybe it did something.
No, I think that cord is from the mouse.
No, there's two cords. I'm clicking on it. Can't even tell me. It's $36. Oh, it's backlit. Yeah, it's just got colors.
You don't need the colors. Unless you want the colors.
And I would definitely do DIY colors. I wouldn't be... I think this is my mouse. Oh, it's currently unavailable. Dang it. I got 3 buttons like this one. This is my mouse. The side's different, but all the buttons are the same. So this is my mouse. It was like $12 or something. So definitely... Oh, it only has 4,800. That's not my mouse. I would not have bought only 4,800. But anyway, buy a lot of DPIs. I guess maybe I will buy one of these. Let's buy... Why is it showing me wireless ones on the wired? I thought it was on wired.
Anyways, I'm out. Good night.
Oh, take it easy. All right, I guess I clicked on wired.
See you later, Kurt.
So, I like all this stuff.
So not just trying to distract you from mouses there, G, but I think you should add a holster to your wish list as well, because there's no way you can do all this work and use an uncomfortable holster. I think you need to add a holster.
Holster? What are you talking about?
For your sidearm. There's no way you can go and do all this work with all this fancy new equipment and have the same old holster.
Kind of can. I don't know what you're going after, but I'm not, I don't know. I have my 2 holsters that I've had forever. That's all I ever use.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't switch them out too often. I mean, if they're broke, I might consider going to a different route, but I've got whatever habits I've got into, so I found things that accomplish the things I need to be done with them. Let's see. So I keep going to this, I guess, and then over to this one. Yeah, I was kind of thinking about what it would be like to outfit like a mobile, or somebody was asking about the warehouse earlier, trying to set up a new, whatever you call this, like workstation or place to get stuff done. And this is definitely elaborate, because I would never have $3,000 to spend on a laptop or whatever. And you don't really need a ruggedized high-end laptop, but you could get a high-end laptop for about half of that easy, or at least a decent laptop for half of that. So for really $1,200-ish, and then $30 is about as low as you're going to get on a mic, $100 for a hard drive, $100-ish bucks for the mixer, and that's probably something that not everybody needs either. A printer, though, is pretty handy. That was $100-ish. The monitor, I think I only paid $200 for mine, and this one's $400, so there's got to be somewhere in the middle there. And then you got used, so we're still only at like $1,200, $13, $14, $15, $16. And, so for $2,000, you could literally have a machine that would just be amazing. Like, again, just thinking of what you could do with these tools is getting to be amazing. Like, this laptop alone can do a lot of work. You add the couple $100, or I guess $150 for the sound, and that allows you to record and create sounds for create whatever you're creating, content or live or playing around. It's just having fun, being creative. The sounds is half of what you do on a computer. Having a hard drive is a no-brainer. It's just having a little bit of extra storage. Having the printer, though, lets you start to kick out whatever you're doing. Now, there's not software. We haven't really talked about software, but there's free options. There's paid options there. But whatever you do with your software, and now that I've got a printer that I play with, having a printer is super worthwhile. Just lets you put stuff into real life. I'm only playing with it for one thing, too. I can't even imagine. There's probably all kinds of fun stuff you can do with a printer besides that. For projects and crafts and stuff, DIY and everything else. But then having a giant monitor just turns that whole thing into, and with a separate keyboard, I guess we'd have to have a separate keyboard here to let you just put that thing down on a laptop, down on a table, and then make an actual creative space out of it. Just allowing you to use the tool in a whole nother way. With that mouse, with the keyboard has to have no other function than just let you not have to reach over to the laptop, like on a table or something, let you actually move the keyboard in front of you. So that's going to be very inexpensive, less than $20. And then this speaker is a splurge at $70, but since you've got the audio stuff in here, figured being able to hear it is probably a good idea. But is probably also can be a handicap. Same with this giant monitor. As much as it's nice to be better than regular people, I have to remember that I'm seeing things in a better way than regular people can. So I have to remember to, maybe look at stuff on the other monitor over there so that I can remember what it's like to look at things normal. So having really nice speakers, having a really nice monitor, you got to remember you can't build to what you can see. You got to build to what the world's going to see. So if your users are looking at square monitors, don't make all your stuff for big rectangles, make it for squares. If your people are listening to headphones, don't make your stuff for concert halls or whatever. But whatever, with that in mind, these tools here, $2,000 worth of tools or something, $3,000 or so, depending on how extravagant you want to go, would let you do pretty much anything you want in the future. You could definitely make more than $3,000 with this stuff. But yeah, I was thinking about how to shove all this stuff into a vehicle, and all this could run off at 12 volts or 120, no problem. And then would all fit into pretty much any vehicle you can think of, except maybe a small car. You could make this studio very small. You could, even if you didn't worry about space, it wouldn't take up much room. Most of this stuff is going to fit within the footprint of the monitor and the printer stacked. So the monitor on top of the printer, laptop in front of it. Now, this isn't going to take up too much room. If you had the room, you could spread out a little bit and be very ergonomic. And then I guess that's all there is. The other thing would be, how do you attach it to the vehicle? Having a van allows you to have a monitor of this size, but otherwise, you could probably modify a regular vehicle to hold a giant monitor like that. And all the rest of the stuff would fit in a regular size vehicle. So you could definitely drive all this stuff around. I wouldn't, maybe a pickup truck it wouldn't work in. But a pickup truck with a cap on the back. All right, well, that was a little bit different exploration into stuff. And we had Night Strike in here tonight. Ozzy is out there. I don't know what you're talking about with the holster, but that got Ozzy going. So
I was just saying to go look up a new holster, even if it's one that you got, just get a backup. If you're adding it to the list, might get lucky, have somebody get it for you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I don't really need a holster though. I'm like everybody else who's got guns for a while. I started getting holsters before I could even carry legally, and then I had holsters when I could carry legally, and then I was like a lot of YouTubers. I was impressed with all the free crap you could get. And then when I was impressed with the free crap I could get, other people were impressed that they could give free crap to people. So there was a lot of holster accumulation. And then I gave away a bunch of stuff and sold some of it, and I still got tons of it. So I think at this point, for the guns I have sort of a duffel bag full of them, and those are the ones that I kept, but like they're 4 guns that I have, but I don't really use them. And then I've got another bag that is a World War II tool bag, so it's about half the size of a guitar case, I guess. So it's not small, but it's not huge either. The other one's bigger. Anyway, that one is full of the actual holsters I would use if I ever need to actually carry any of my guns. But since I don't ever carry any of my guns except for 2 or 3, I've got the couple of holsters I use for those, and they work. And I am not like, whatever, like I'm not buying holsters because of what they look like. I buy them because of how they work. And once I've established how I use them, I'm not exploring new ways to make them work or something. So I'm not looking for new product to accommodate some new technique or tactic or anything. I'm just, been fairly consistent. So I just haven't needed anything new. But as far as backups and stuff, one of the characteristics I purchased or went with was longevity. So one of my holsters is kind of falling apart, and it'll be a little while before it actually falls apart. But the other one, there's nothing to. They're fairly rugged. So most holster decisions are based on I'm going to carry it a different way or I'm going to buy a different gun. Rarely do people actually wear out their holsters anymore.
Yeah, I say. Plus, I understand what you're saying. If it's not broke, why fix it?
Well, yeah, but there are people that evolve or change their mind or whatever, and then let's say the FBI can't. Like for some reason, you decide when you're buying your first holster or some holster, like I really need an FBI can't. I'm going to carry there, and with an FBI can't. I've got them like that because I thought it was cool for a minute, and then you start wearing it around, and you're like, uh-oh. Like that don't work for me. My keys are there, the way my car is, or my wife hugs me there, or whatever, and you don't want to wear that holster anymore. I mean, I guess there are people that sell that holster, but most everybody just throws that in a drawer. And like now you've got that one that isn't perfect, but still works. You like it, whatever reason you don't use it in the car or because of this or that. But if I'm not doing this or that or not in the car, who cares? It works perfectly for everything else. So, you know what I mean? It's like I've accumulated shit. I'd have to sit around and think about it. And then there's ones that are like, you're standing at a gun show and somebody says something and then it's like, well, I don't want this one. Do you want it? And you're like, well, I don't even have a gun for that, but what are you going to throw it in the garbage? Like, yes, I guess I'll take it home. Like,
exactly.
Things happen.
Did you look up a power inverter to put in the van?
No, because this was more of not trying to be 100% van centric, but we have done stuff before, but not an issue.
Let's say when I drove truck, all I ever used was one that plugged into your cigarette outlet, and it pumped out, I think, like 300 watts. I think they actually make one to pump out like 400 watts now.
Yeah, kind of like a bus, like I was talking about before. When you go with that, whatever architecture, with that like form factor or whatever, then yeah, you're limited by first like the wiring, like what your cigarette lighter can even do. But then more importantly, like the fuse that's running the cigarette lighter. So it's going to be some amount of amp fuse back there. So it's going to be 12 volts, but you can, like for me, I ran a cigarette lighter outlet from one side of the van to the other side of the van. And it's got a little blue LED on it that tells you it's working, I guess. So, okay, still little blue indicators there. I plug in the monitor, my second monitor into it. And now the little blue indicator will kind of dim a little bit. But now you plug in a phone to charge and the indicator light almost goes out and the monitor starts to flicker. So they're both getting 12 volts, but the little bit of amps that got over there are not enough to do both what it wants or what it wants to do. So that's the kind of the problem you could have with the cigarette lighter kind. Like you could plug anything you want physically into it, but what it can pull through it, it's like going to have some governor restriction there. So the idea would be to go, I guess, hardwired into your electric system. Or what I did is just, because I have a van, I have enough room to do it. I just created a secondary system that has nothing to do with the van system. My own battery, my own wires, my own outlets. They're in the van, but they're totally separate from the van, except for where I went with one wire that goes from my system, my auxiliary backup system in the back of the van. I shouldn't say backup, but my auxiliary system internal to the van. I have one wire that goes up to a thing that will pull charge off of the system, the electrical system, but it won't, it's only a one-way valve. So it'll trickle charge my battery, but it'll never let my battery suck from the van. So it's like a one-way valve up there. So I have that. Every time the van is driving, it's charging my battery and back. And my battery and back can be used, and it's never going to affect the van itself. It can be charged from the van, but it can never use the van. And that's the one wire that I have that connects them. And there's that valve on there so that, it's on one-way valve. But otherwise, I could either disconnect that and go with solar or something else. But that secondary system is completely separate. And in that case, then I can have, it's just a matter of how many batteries I have and what, I guess I can go, is it 16 volts in a boat? I think there's the sort of the strategy of going with RV or going with boat. And a lot of people that are making these new vehicles for like living in or whatever will go with the boat power, because boats are just designed to be out in the water forever and just work better. Where RVs are kind of designed to like, if it breaks, you got to just pull into a gas station, no big deal. If it breaks, just call a tow truck. Boats are made like a little more rugged, or a lot more rugged probably. So I've seen a lot of people using that, and that's like 16 volts or something weird.
Yeah, I've actually seen where people are actually taking those marine batteries and putting them in their cars and stuff because voltage wise they're still working out. I think it's a smaller marine battery where it's only a 12 volt, but the batteries, just like you said, are so much more rugged. They're lasting a lot longer, and I guess just overall better.
And I think I know that the camper stuff is basically one step above garbage when you're talking about switches and fuse things. Like everything was cheap plastic crap, and everything I've ever seen on a boat is designed to get wet, be in the sun constantly, and then last for more than a couple of years. Like this stuff was just at a whole level higher, or a couple of levels higher of quality. When you're putting stuff in a boat, it seems like maybe it's because boat people, I don't know. I think it's just because, again, boats are designed to be in abusive environments constantly, where an RV is like coddled. You never, if you can help it, you never put your RV in any kind of weather. At least not the inside.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you're running down smooth roads and stuff like that. As to a boat, you're out there on waves, bouncing around, and like you said, you got water splashing up, getting on the electronics, and etc. It's a whole different world.
And then just rain, and like you're gonna fall over and knock into a boat display panel a million times more than you might do it in an RV once in a while or something. But yeah.
Yep.
But so anyway, we've done that when we had the van chats back in the day, and it sounds like whatever, I'm going to keep alluding to it. We're getting closer and closer to some sort of a daily chat again, or a daytime daily chat again, which would be great because at first I was thinking I was going to have to do the daily chat, which would mean I'd have to, because I would move this chat to the daily chat and do one or the other, right? But I don't want to jinx nothing, but it sounds like we might see a daytime chat, which would let me keep this as a nighttime chat, which I think would be ideal because I'd much rather do this during the night. But whatever, we got an important election cycle coming up, and whatever, we got this internet, we might as well use it. There are some people out there that are interested in efforting for awareness and grassroots and whatnot. And while not everyone is interested in that, the people that are, we might as well make use of the tools we've got. So I'm going to do what I can. It's difficult. I wish I could make plans. I wish I could say, here's what I'm going to do, but I'm constantly at the whim of the tide, it seems like. So I'm going to effort towards that continually, but or at least having like some sort of a daily thing, but or a decent daily thing. But if they can do a decent daily thing in the daytime, then that lets me do the follow-up at night like this. So anyway, we'll keep you updated in this with as much detail as I possibly can without being as vague as I am right now. But it looks like Patriot is taking off. Pants is winking at him, made him leave. It was uncomfortable for him. Ozzy is out there talking about holsters. DJ is out there, as well as Barbecue, who's in here. Night Strike had to go to bed. I got mad at him. Said he was making too much noise down there. He had to go to bed. And we had somebody else out here, I thought, earlier. Biker Bob was out here for a minute, talking about Canada's flu, the Canadian flu. Gizzard was out earlier, talking about the computers. First while, I don't know how many of these people are still out there. Got a 3D printer, so he's having fun. I am getting a new tool/toy that was supposed to get here tomorrow. It came here today, but I didn't know it, so I'll be getting that first thing in the morning. I don't know how much work I'll get done tomorrow because I'm going to be playing with a new tool/toy, and we'll see if that gets utilized on this show or not. But we had a little fun tonight playing around with putting together a computer. Like I say, I don't know if honestly, this show is just whatever the hell happens. So this is just something to do tonight, and it was sort of an effort in chatting about tech without having a tech workshop or some sort of a lesson. Hopefully people get stuff out of it, or at least are entertained, or if nothing else, you're like, that sucks butt, and we make a much better Second Amendment show. And if that's the case, all the power to you. I'll give as much support as I can, because if we don't, nobody else is going to do it for us. Thanks, Barbecue, for jumping in. And we'll
Not a problem. Thank you.
We'll be back to pick you up later.